Hey, welcome everyone to my YouTube channel on cigars and cigars and talk. Cigars. Oh, what are we going to call it? Cigars and things. Where Tom talks about cigars and talks about other things. Tonight, I have one of my favorites here. Cigar by La Gloria de Cubana. Probably, if I had to smoke one cigar the rest of my life, this would be it. And so we're going to do the cut. I have this cutter, and not sure you can see this in the video. Got a fire going. Wow, it's hot. It's like burning my butt over here. Anyway, it's got a back on it, so you can just like cut it, nip it, and it usually cuts off just the right amount. Sometimes I cut it twice to get a better draw, but it's really nice. I like to wet the end of my cigar a little bit. Woo! Yeah. It's been so cold out here. We went from like 80-degree weather to like 40-degree weather. I'll tell you what, it's hard to get used to. I'm gonna move the camera a little bit because that fire is so dang hot. I gotta get away from it a little bit. So, I got this really cool lighter. Sorry, I keep getting up. From my dad. My dad passed away on the 4th of September, and this is one of the cool things that I found amongst his stuff. So I'm gonna light the cigar with it. When you want to light a cigar, a lot of people will toast the end of it before they actually start puffing on it, and I may do that a little bit tonight. I don't always do that, and I didn't necessarily find a benefit to that. Oh, so here we go. We get a good You want to try to get it nice and even, otherwise it doesn't burn real well. Probably not the best cigar lighter, but it's fun for me because it belonged to my dad. So we'll shut that down. I'm going to try to sit by this fire. Man, it is so hot. Whew. There we go. That's not too bad. You want to get some good puffs, especially at the beginning. You can slow down once you get it started a bit. And these series are, one thing about cigars, is they're all different. These cigars, usually, once you get them going, you can set it down, go inside, go to the bathroom, get a drink, come out, and draw on it again. It's still going to be lit. Now, there are other cigars where you let it sit for a little while, and it goes out. One reason I love these Series R's, but the other reason with the Series R is that it's hot. These Series R, they have a nice full flavor, but not nicotine strong. Nicotine strong is often what you feel when you get sick or dizzy when you're smoking a cigar, and you kind of want to steer a little away from that. At least I do. I don't necessarily like that, but this has this leaves like a peppery taste in your mouth, and I really do like that. It's really pleasant and it's nice. So we got this started. What should we talk about tonight? As I told you, I lost my dad on the 4th of September, and I do a number of podcasts. I do a podcast called the Yup Podcast, and it is just practical advice on relationships. I've been a contractor most of my life in the construction industry and done all kinds of things. But on the side, I've just been good at relationships. Now, mind you, I've screwed up just like everybody else, but I kind of have an innate way of knowing how to solve problems and stuff. And so this podcast is just passing along the stuff I've learned to make your life easier. It's fun. Some of them are pretty provocative. Some of them are more mild and a little cheesy, but I know the information is really helpful, and I love doing that. I also have, and I did an episode on my dad called The Kiss of Death, and if you want to hear a grown old guy cry, then that's the one for you, because I lose it. It's like, I miss my dad. He was the best man in my wedding, and we were close. We talked often, and yeah, it's even hard now. I don't feel like crying now, but those of you that are familiar with grief know that it can come at any minute, and you just don't know. So if I break down or I leave the video, it's probably because I'm crying. And by the way, if any of you are thinking time estimate on this bad boy, it's probably going to be a good hour. This is a shorter one, but it's a little fatter, and I'm in my neighborhood, sitting on my front porch. You can hear the fire crackling and the cars going by. The wind was blowing like a banshee this afternoon, and it might kick up here again, and we'll get this video a little shorter. Wow, that is hot. We're gonna move over here just a little bit. Sorry for the camera stuff here. Let's see, Tom. Woo. Setting. There we go. That's a little better. You're like, wow, this dude's redneck. Yeah, gotta pull the pants up too. A little bit. Anyway, the other podcast I do is Sanguine, and it is a faith podcast. And I know you're out there, you're just like, what kind of faith are you? The cigar and bourbon faith? Well, I do have a cigar, and I do love bourbon. But this is one of those podcasts that's about Jesus. You're like, for crying out loud. I'd flick you off, but you're smoking a cigar. And I think that's pretty darn cool. Well, this podcast is all about helping you find the Jesus in the Bible. Modern religion has often skewed Jesus. Jesus is a super cool guy. And here comes my wife. She's going to join me out here. So I may have to put you guys on hold a bit while I chat with the beautiful Adrian. Here she is. Yeah. You're not a lucky guy. Did you see her? She's so pretty. I'm like this old gray hair guy.
I couldn't figure out who you were talking to.
My wife's like, who the heck are you talking to? Yeah, I've been on TikTok, and I think my family doesn't know what to do with me these days. Anyway, I'm going to put you guys on hold because...
Keep going. I'm keen to listen.
She's going to listen. So I have an audience here as I smoke my cigar and talk to you guys about stuff. Now, if you've noticed, it's kind of got an unnatural burn there. It's like, I didn't get that bottom lit real well. So we're going to touch it up, and I'm going to use a different lighter. These single flames are pretty good for touching up. And Series R, you usually don't have to do this, but this one wasn't a real good light to start with, and it is a bit breezy out here. So yeah, we just do a little touch up, smoking a little bit. So those are two podcasts. And the faith one, if you're a skeptic, I just encourage you to listen. I don't have any problem with that, and I'm not easily offended. If I even do get offended, I may have a moment, but we all have moments. And so, yeah, that's a fun one. I actually dare you to listen to it. And then I have the Yes Women podcast. And if you're a guy, man, if you want to, I don't know, you should probably avoid it. But you women, it's some unique encouragement for you. What do you have to say about that, Adrian? Here she comes.
Okay. I actually think the guys need to listen at least once to a Yes Woman. Because here's the thing, Tom has insight, and maybe it'll kind of open up some new understanding for some of the guys. That's what I got.
All right. So you guys that aren't afraid of losing your man card, you can listen to that. So anyway, talking about my dad, one of the things I realized after losing Dad, and not even losing him, I guess I've realized this all my life, is that Dad gave me some real gifts, and one of those was discipline. So we're going to talk about kids a little bit tonight, and raising kids. And you're like, oh, a guy smoking a cigar and drinking bourbon is going to tell me about raising kids. Well, Dad had this unique perspective on discipline, and don't ever remember my dad getting mad when he disciplined us. And me and my brother, we were quite a pair. We got in a lot of trouble, and the kind of trouble like throwing dirt clods at cars and them chasing us home and knocking on the door because they're upset, and then my dad answering it and having to deal with that and then deal with us later. We were actually blacklisted in the neighborhood. Nobody would babysit the Baldwin boys because we were, let's just say, really rambunctious. And so Dad took a couple pretty wild boys and through discipline and consistency allowed us to turn into some decent young men, if I do say so myself. And so Dad, never got angry when he disciplined. And so you're out there and you're just like, so like when you would do things, he wouldn't get upset. Nope. My dad would, now mind you, we got spanked, and we got spanked hard, and it's really not a politically correct thing to say these days. But my dad, he would say, this is why I'm spanking you. And he would outline it, and then we'd get spanked, and he would usually say that cliche phrase, this hurt me more than it hurt you. And we're always like, yeah, whatever, me and my brother both. And we, as kids do, I regret it now, but it's like, I'll never spank my kids. Well, that is not true. And those of you who are listening, it's like, he spanks his kids. Well, it's too late. They're already grown up. So do what you need to with that information. Oh, this is really good right now. So Dad would spank us, and then after we're done, he's like, hey, you guys want to go play catch? Now get that. This is really important. There is no guilt and shame involved in our discipline. Now, can I tell you what that has done for me? It's just like, I knew that my dad loved me unconditionally. And so after I did something wrong, the slate was cleaned and I could start afresh again. Did I screw up again? Of course I did. And those of you that are parents, you're just like, how many times am I going to have to discipline? I don't know, but it's going to be a lot, right? It's going to be a lot. But every time that your kid does something wrong, you do them a service if you discipline them quickly, efficiently, without emotion and without anger, and you clear their conscience so they can start again. Because if you use guilt and shame, it will hinder them later in their life, because when they screw up, they will have guilt and shame, and we all screw up. And so it's important that we know how to get past our screw ups, and discipline when you're young is one way to do that. Now, I have no idea how my dad figured that out. He is from a family of 8 whose father was an alcoholic, and it was rumored he had 2 families. So, he tried hard at, I'm not sure what, but my dad was the oldest. And so he ended up raising the family. And maybe that's where he learned some of this fathering stuff, but he had no example. And so I'm so grateful for that, because that has played out in our kids. I don't usually talk this much when I smoke a cigar. I kind of need my wife here to fill in for me a little bit. Why I just don't talk that much. Let's just have a moment of silence while Tom smokes his cigar here. She's laughing at me. I'm going to put some more wood on the fire. Those two fake it really well, because the spanking from mom was a walk in the park compared to a spanking from dad. And so, yeah, we screamed like little girls when we got spanked by my mom. And I'm not sure, she probably knew. She's pretty smart. And Mom, if you're watching this, well, kids got to do what a kid's got to do, right? And I'm 53 years old, and truth is finally coming out. My wife's over there laughing at me.
No, I'm chuckling. I think that's brilliant.
So one of the funniest times when Mike and I got spanked, and I don't remember what we did. We were pretty young, but we knew what was coming. You're no dummy after you get spanked a few times. It's a pretty deliberate choice that you value the disobedience that you're going to do. And mind you, my brother and I, it wasn't so much sassing. There was just adventure that was outside the bounds of the lawful that we just couldn't resist. And so, yeah, we were partakers of that forbidden fruit. Anyway, so we knew it was coming, and I think this was before Dad came home, and so my brother was in his room preparing, and my brother was skinny, and really skinny, and I was a husky kid, and probably still am the husky kid. And so Mike, it's funny because he's my younger brother and I'm the older. I always wanted to get spanked first because I hated hearing him cry before I got spanked. And so I always took my spanking first. And so this time, usually Dad spanked us together, but he came in my room, spanked me. And then I followed him into Mike's room, and Mike's laying on the bed in his whitey tighties. And there in his whitey tighties, there are 4 corners sticking out of his whitey tighties. He had put a book in his underpants to, alleviate the pain. And so Dad carefully pulled that out, and guess what it was? Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham. I'll never forget that. My dad, I don't remember his face, but man, he must have been cracking a smile, something fierce. So yeah, we got spanked a lot, probably up to the age of 10. If you parents are wondering, it's like, when do I stop spanking? I say before they're tweenies, before they're in their preteens, you need to stop by 10. And if you haven't done it by then, you're going to buy yourself some troubles as they're beginning to develop their individualistic tendencies and things that you want them to do. You want them to individuate. And if you're spanking them at that age, you're starting to crush that self-esteem that's in there, and the discipline, hopefully up to this point, has been effective, and you want to take a different route. And a route that still brings pain and maybe a little more long term, because at this age they understand the consequences and they probably need to think about it for longer. And so things as such as grounding and stuff becomes effective at this age because they're more introspective and they're able to think about what they've done, and they need to think about what they've done and the consequences of what they've done. And so a grounding, probably 12, 13 years of age, with the caveat of, no, I want you to come back to me and explain why I've grounded you. And if they say, oh, I have no idea, they do. Okay, if you let your kids get away with that crap, I'm sorry, you need an IQ test, and maybe you're not smart enough to be a parent. Come on, your kids are plenty smart, and they absolutely know why they're grounded. And this is a way for you to show that you have supernatural powers with your kids, and that you know how smart they are, and they want you to challenge them, because it is your job to bring out their inner strength. And so strength of character by being honest, strength of character by you telling them that you know that they're smart enough to do that. And some of you are going to have to press your kids because you've let them skate. Funny story about one of my boys when he was really young, and my wife and I were having a discussion about him, and she's like, he can't understand you. And he's young, just barely walking, hardly talking. And she's like, he doesn't understand you. Well, I'm in the bathtub, and I say, hey, go get me that towel. And my wife's in there, and he walks over, gets the towel, and brings it over to me. Okay, just an example. Your kids are way smarter than you're giving them credit for. Don't let them dupe you. And when you catch them as teenagers, for one, catching them is a huge blessing. And some of you want to avoid conflict, and can I just tell you need to get over that right now. You're not going to raise good kids, because that conflict is a pivotable learning point. And you want that, and that's a gem, and that's pure gold, because it's a teachable moment, because they are guilty and they know they're guilty. And so they are probably more open than they're going to be at any time. And so that's why if you're a guilt and shame parent, you need to shut your mouth. Okay. You speak to them and say, and hopefully some of you can relate to when you were young and you're just like, I remember what it was being your age, and you're not justifying any of this, but you're relating to them. But here's what happens, and here's what happened to me. And you can relate circumstances, what happened to you, or, left undealt with. And just, you've got to really care about your kids. This can't be about you and your sense of justice, because discipline is about your kids. It's not about you getting a sense of justice. It's about your kids getting the course correction that they need. And you say something to the effect, this is a discipline because I care about you. And you can give some leeway if they have a change of heart that's pretty genuine. But generally, I stay pretty stern with my punishments, and especially if they're obstinate, man, I'm really obstinate. And it's because I love them. You're just, if you give in, can I just say, you probably don't love your kids. You love yourself more, and you love your peace of mind more. Because when kids are under punishment, it is hard. Man, it's like punishing yourself, because you got to be on them. And if they're grounded, they're underfoot and they're nagging you, and you're just like, really, discipline and sticking with the discipline is really an act of love. And those of you that stick with it, and hopefully there's two parents. If there's only one of you, I'm sorry. You need to try to bring in some help. Maybe there's some other people that you can bring in for some help, and help in encouraging you and helping you stay the ground, because man, kids can be relentless, and that is no joke. They will wear you down, and you've got to be like that stone wall. You just, man, it's almost like you've got to be that unobtainium or something, that your feet don't touch the ground and you're just like, you're impregnable. They can't get through to you. It's tough. I got 6 of them, let me tell you. And they got smart as they got older and started ganging up on Adrian and I. Man, you got 6 of them after you, and dang, it's hard, but it's worth it. So they're in the teenage years, and yeah, you get the you get the added benefit of hormones. Like, wow. Yeah, wow. Those boys, man, they're just smashing, pounding on their brothers and sisters, picking on each other. And they are just full of piss and vinegar. And you're just like, what do I do with this? Well, that's easy for me, because I lived that. I remember that. I actually longed for some of those levels of testosterone. It's like, man, would that be nice to have again? It's like getting old enough, it's hard to even be mad anymore. I don't got enough testosterone. Well, actually, I do. Wink, wink at my wife.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. That's right. Oh, baby. Now, the killer for me is those girls and the emotions. Woo! Man, having conversations for hours. You and mom just don't understand me. Mom just hates me and my brothers and sisters. And I don't mean to make fun of them. Okay, this is the reality of life. And it's just as ridiculous with the boys and the stupid crap they did. It's like, why did you jump off the roof onto the hood of the car and smash the roof? I don't know. It seemed like fun. You know, it's just, it's two extremes, but they're equally as trying on parents. Because you can't understand why the heck the boys do things. And then the girls, it's just like, and, you know, I'm the listener in the family, so I'm down there with them. And, you know, you can't rationalize with somebody that's irrational. But you build credibility by being there. And some of you parents need some credibility. Man, you got too much going on. You need some time with your kids. You need to build some credibility. And, yeah, I built credibility. And they started to listen to me because I'm supernatural, right? Predicting the future because I've been there and they haven't. And so have you. So you can predict their future and you can tell them what the outcome is. They're like, Dad, that isn't going to work. Well, you know darn right, if they go be sweet on their mom, that it's going to work like better than anything. Now, some of my kids picked up on that fast, man. They get anything they want from their mom to my chagrin. I'm just like, honey, you can't be giving them all this stuff. Yeah. Kids are smart. Some of them are a little slower. We got some stubborn ones. And anyway, I have to tell you, if people tell you that the teenage years, they're just wait till they're teenagers. You have little cute kids running around. You're in Home Depot and Walmart. And these old people come up. Just wait till they're teenagers. Mine did this and mine did that. Well, let me give you some advice here. And this is powerful and you need to listen and you need to take it seriously. Words mean things. And when people throw out words to you and you agree with them, you are giving them power in your life. Tom, that's just a voodoo crap. It's not, okay? Try it. You'll see that it's not. So when they would come up and say that to me, I said, I can't wait till they're teenagers. We're going to have the best years. Can I tell you how many teenagers do I have in the house right now? 4?
Yes.
4 teenagers. What a delight. Now, granted, we were up late with one of them last night, boy, of course, talking about getting his homework done and putting the screws to him. But I actually think that's fun. And you can have a ton of fun. And, you know, the next day, he wasn't pissy at me or anything. I was out working outside. He's like, hey, Dad, do you need any help? I put the screws to him the night before. Why did he do that? Because I built credibility with him. I back up what I say, and I'm for them, and I show it that I'm for them. Man, when I come down hard on them, they know it's because I love them. When I'm not coming down hard on them, we're having a great time, and we're doing fun things. I have credibility, and so I can get away with putting the screws to them. And do they like it? Heck no. Do I like discipline? No. Yeah. I think it's time for a sip of bourbon here.
That's good stuff, babe. Keep going.
My wife says I'm doing good. She is a hard one to please, let me tell you. Worth it. 100% worth it. Yeah. Inside joke here, I'll let you guys on. I've never wanted a good wife. I've always wanted a hot girlfriend. I totally got that. I mean, I'm smoking this cigar here, but I got a smoking hot wife. And so it's the reason I have 6 kids. Shh.
Love you, babe.
Oh, that's some of that COVID there. Just kidding. We might have to take a fire break here in a second. And I got sidetracked. Sometimes you guys ever have brain flatulence? And those of you don't know what that is, look it up. You'll get a kick out of it. So building credibility with my kids. Yeah. And one of my kids, probably the one that I had the hardest time with, we have the opportunity, and we've been real fortunate to be able to homeschool our kids. And you're like, oh, you're one of those whack jobs. Yep. Here, this is the face of a whack job, right? Yep. And a kook, right? Yeah. Homeschooler, smokes cigars, drinks bourbon. Yeah. Weird. Drives a big diesel truck. And my wife drives a big diesel rig too. You know, that Yeah, they're both Fords. Sorry, all you Chevy owners, but the Power Stroke. Yep. Anyway, I keep getting sidetracked. Do you guys see that movie Over the Hedge and the raccoon and the squirrel? And he's always like getting side. It's sometimes how I feel. Anyway, my son, my oldest boy, we had a season where since I'm self-employed, I was able to take him to work, and I had to take him to work to save his life because him and his mother are like, they're at home like there's a fire between them and they're both throwing gasoline on it. And those of you dads that have come home, the ones that are engaged, and kudos to you dads that are engaged, man, you're few and far between and we need you. Don't give up. Don't give up. You are the future of this country and your kids will be the future of your country. Don't give up. When you come to home, things like that, just, you got to get that long-term perspective because you are doing the good stuff right there. And so yeah, he came to work with me and I should backtrack a little bit. I would have these conversations with him and I give him discipline and he'd keep arguing. I said, every time you keep arguing, I'm going to add a week to your grounding. Well, he couldn't shut up. I mean, he would get 2-3 months and he just couldn't shut up. And I would just say, all right, that's one more week. And he, that's one more week. And so the solution was taking him to work. And as a punishment, and he had to do his schoolwork in the evenings. And I often traveled out of town. And so he had to do his schoolwork in a hotel room or in the truck or whatever. Can I tell you what? That kid right now, he's in his 20s. He is such an awesome kid. I can't tell you how many compliments I get on that kid. And he was just an absolute pain in our, yeah, right. Absolute pain. Okay, you have to know your kids. And some of you aren't able to do that, but you got to be creative. You can't just be doing some rote discipline. You got to be a study of your kids. And if you think this parenting stuff is easy and that you can just, it is kind of easy when they're young because spankings work. They're quick and efficient and you make them sting, but you don't hurt your kids and clears their conscience. But as they get older, you got to know your kids. Some of my kids, the spankings tapered off way earlier than for other kids. And some of the disciplines changed. Some of my kids had a much more sensitive heart than the others. And it was just like, you just kind of looked at them a little bit or you say something like you're disappointed in them. Totally was enough. And so with our oldest, and he comes over every Sunday with his wife, beautiful woman, just gorgeous. And matter of fact, on Saturday, I was having just one of those rotten, awful, with no good, super bad, whatever that reference is, type of days. And I went to the hardware store for like the umpteenth time trying to fix a garage door that was working until I pushed the little opener and it decided to have a cataclysmic failure in the middle of the night. And I let it down half cocked and God, wake up Sunday morning. It's like, yippee, guess what I get to do? I am an optimist, but boy, some days it's a choice versus an attitude. And that was a choice. And so I'm at the hardware store and yeah, I'm a little rebellious. So I was in the hardware store, not wearing a mask. And some of you are just like, Karen's yeah, just click me off, Kay. I don't even want to talk to you. Anyway, I was in the hardware store and saw some potential Karens in there. And I was just on edge. And I look up, there's this big smiling face. It's my son. And he comes up to me. He's like, Dad, what are you doing? As he's saying that, he's giving me a hug. Okay, this is a kid where we were like, because we've always like been a hugger family. Even though I'm not a hugger, I knew they were good for us. So I was like, I'm going to do this because I know it's good for my kids. I think my cigar went out. We're going to have a break here to light my cigar. Boy, I never thought I'd have a problem talking too much, but I guess I do. Let's put some wood on the fire. Hug, man, it just melted me. It gave me what I needed for the rest of the day. And he came over later that day, which was another blessing. And we had a birthday party for my wife and one of my other sons. And it was a good day. And hear this oldest kid, how we had troubles and how we couldn't hug him for like 3 or 4 years as a teenager. He was just an ice cube. You got to have faith, parents. And some of you are so short-sighted that your kids are mean and obstinate. You have no idea what they're going through. You have no idea what their bodies are doing. You have to be long-term goal oriented and what you want, and your love has to not be fickle in the moment. You have to be long-term. So he is such a gem. Like I say, I get compliment after compliment after compliment. Actually, I get that in all my kids. You know what my kids are known as in the neighborhood? As the hardworking kids. And they often go do work at people's houses for kids that are inside playing video games. And they are making the money and they are succeeding. So one of my kids, for his birthday blessing, a boy, one of my boys, yeah, and I'm not using their names because it's none of your freaking business, right? Yeah, you can see this ugly mug, but you don't need to know my kids' names. She's like, jerk. Yeah, I'll take that. Remember, I said I don't get offended easy. And yeah, those of you that want to put nasty comments, man, I'll like every one of them, okay? And you Karens, yep, bring it on. And Kens, is that what we call you, Kens?
That's a good one. I haven't heard that, but it's good.
Kens and Karens. Yeah, you only need one more K and you'd be a Democrat. Ooh, did I say that?
The Democrats spelled with a C, babe.
KKK, babe.
Oh.
Yeah, she's trying to correct me here. I actually knew where I was going. Actually knew where I was going with that.
Good.
Many of you may not know that that was a Democratic organization. How about that? Yeah, you're like, oh, you're one of those conservatives. Man, I'm pro-America, okay? I like to earn money. I like to see the labor of my hands, and I don't like to see the government wasted. So wherever party you want to put me in, yep, you can do that. Anyway, blessing my son Wallace. We have this thing on their birthdays where we tell them what we appreciate about him. And yeah, we're a family of faith. And you're like, I knew it, they were Christians. Yeah, well, cigar smoking, bourbon drinking Christians. Maybe that's you. Huh? Yeah. You know our favorite drink, me and my wife, Long Island iced tea. It's 5 shots of liquor. Can you still go to heaven and drink 5 shots of liquor? Well. All right, back to the blessing. One of the things my son yeah, might have to edit that out, is that he has this unique ability to see me. And you're like, what do you mean? Well, as a man in our household, I don't like to be perceived as needy. So I keep a lot of things to myself. And I work hard when I'm tired and I'm fatigued. And I really try hard not to complain. I do from time to time, right? Yep.
It's pretty rare, hon.
I do. But my son sees me out there and he's like, hey, Dad, you need anything? Consistently does that. Hey, Dad, are you all right? Man, if you stick with it with your kids, and you know what he's doing? He's giving leadership to the rest of the kids in the house. Mm-hmm. And when you go the distance and work with your kids, good behavior affects other kids as well as bad behavior. And so my other kids, they see me out working and doing stuff and they're like, hey, Dad, you need some help? You need anything? And yeah, I have the man problem. No, I'm fine. I've got over that, honestly. And part of it is I think my back hurts, my knees hurt. Yeah, I need help, right? And I ask them to do it, and they do it so well. And so when you build credibility with your kids, well, let me backtrack a little bit. The other thing that I do is when I see that they're busy and slacking, or maybe slacking on their chores, I'll often do the dishes because I see the kids are busy and they need a hand or they're having a bad day and probably don't do it often enough. But when you come in there and do things that are outside of the realm of rules, you build some huge credibility. And like Adrian, she goes out of her way to take them to things that they need to go to or that they want to go to. And they know she's busy and maybe she's tired and maybe she doesn't feel good. That builds credibility and that comes around and it kisses you on the cheek. And so, yeah, raising kids, there's no handbook. You've got to be a study of your kids. Now, on a side note, we make a pretty good environment here, and our kids don't necessarily want to leave home. Now, for some of you, you may not like that because you're not getting along with your kids, but I get along great with my kids. And so my older kids, you know what they do? They call me almost every night on their way home. Hey, Dad, we need anything from the grocery store? Or when they leave, hey, Dad, do you need anything? I'm going here or I'm going there. And so when you spend the time and you raise good kids, they're a continued blessing. And it's freaking expensive to live in this world. And I'm not a millionaire yet, but as you guys like my channel and stuff, maybe I can get a little more money in my pocket here. No pressure, but I'm giving you some good stuff here. You're thinking I'm just listening to some redneck smoking a cigar, drinking bourbon. Yeah, you're not. You're getting way more than what you bargained for here. Boy, those were some good puffs of cigar there. So we allow them to stay home, and we don't make them pay rent because why? Well, years ago, my wife and I decided our last name is Baldwin, and we're going to build a team here. And we built a team around our name. Our name actually means bold and courageous friend. And it became something special to be a Baldwin. And I don't know what your last name is. You can just make something up. It's like the Smiths we are the strong and we stay together. Whatever it is, but it became a unique thing to be called a Baldwin. And we built teamwork and we emphasized it. Now, are we like the rest of you? Did we have to say things again and again? And you need to do your laundry. You need to take a shower. Yes, we are not immune from the parental things, and we don't have some golden household. And when you come over our house, hopefully we knew you were coming. Otherwise, you're probably going to find it a little bit of a wreck because we actually live in this place. And yeah, things get messy. You have 6 kids. I mean, you got to see our laundry. I don't think I saw the floor in the laundry room for 10 years. And you've never seen laundry piled so high. I mean, we could be down there for days folding. The laundry was all clean, but none of it was folded. So yeah, I don't want to give you any illusion that this is some perfect household. And yeah, we have to do your homework. And when your kids take off your shoes and they clear the room, you think they get the idea that they maybe have to take a shower or change their socks more than once a week? Yeah, that's a reality that we've lived in. It's probably the same reality that you're living in. And you're just like, why? Yeah, it's a lot of work. So make no illusions, but we're pretty intentional. And getting back to some things, the other thing that happens is, you get these great ideas and you do them for a while and then you forget. And then you have all this guilt and shame. Oh, we used to gather together and have family dinner 3 times a week, and we haven't done that in months. And so you can't do it because you have guilt and shame. Well, that's a bunch of BS, right? Just do it. You can change in a moment. Get back to those habits. It's just like your kids. You may have to tell yourself 20 times that we want to have family dinners, maybe 100 times. And you get 20 a year. That's better than 3. And I'm going to tell you, your kids are going to remember those 20. And so if you're going to fall short, right? You're going to screw up. We screw up all the time. One of my favorite things, we do this thing on Valentine's Day where we bless our kids and, speak life over them. But also at that time of year, or maybe I do this at Christmas. I can't remember. But I like to clear the slate because I know I've screwed up and I know I probably said things and I've done things. Own up to your screw ups. Man, if you said something harsh, or you disciplined wrongly and found out it was another kid, man, you got to own up and make it right. That's how you build credibility. This whole getting it perfect thing, it's just a load of crap. The greatest leaders, what the secret to leadership is? You guys probably should all send me $100 for this. But it's free. And I don't even know why I do this. I haven't made any money. I've spent a lot of money podcasting and starting to do videos. And I have to tell you, vulnerability. You want to be a great leader, you got to have some vulnerability. And if you're going to have vulnerability, you're going to have to grow those little BB-sized balls into something a little bigger. Ow. You're just like, well, I'm a man. You can make a baby. That doesn't make you a man. Stuff I'm talking about makes you a man. So you live honestly and genuine in front of your family. Like when Adrian and I have fights, we don't necessarily do it in front of the kids, but they'll be like, wow, Dad, I heard you and Mom going last night a bit. And I just talk frankly with them. Hey, this is what we're struggling with, or they need to know that because someday they're going to get married. Someday they're going to have the same struggle and you could have modeled it for them and you could have gave them input and you didn't. You hate your kids? You don't, do you? The struggle is real for all of us, and none of us are immune to struggles in this life. And your kids need that modeled, and they need to see that. And if you're not much one, if we need some wood in the fire here. It's a little chilly. Anyway, they 100% need that modeled. The struggles, the decisions about money, and especially the things you're not good at. And when they get older, the things you're not good at, you just better pray and find people. If you're not a praying person, find people that can speak into their lives where you can't. And that's another critical part of raising kids. You ought to have a bunch of great friends. You as a man, you should have some great friends. You as women, if you happen to be watching this, you need some great friends. And you need great friends as couples and older people that have been through it. And so when you have an area of life where you haven't got it right, and that's okay. Man, there are some areas I just rock, and there are other areas that I just screw up consistently, time and time again. And I'm so thankful that my kids have got friends, my friends, that have now become their friends. Weird, right? Well, what's funny is their friends are my friends too. I've had a lot of my son's friends and my daughter's friends. I love hanging out with them. If you don't hang out with young people, man, you're missing it. It'll make you 20 years younger. Now, granted, some of those girls can talk, and if you're like me, a little bit of an introvert, it can be, you're just like, whoa. I think that girl said in 3 minutes what I've said this whole year. It can be pretty daunting, but that also builds credibility when your kids' friends call you and they're like, hey, Tom, can I come hang over? I'm like, well, so-and-so isn't here. That's all right. I wanted to hang out with you. Man, it rocked their world. But they do the same thing to me. My kids, I'm like, where are they at? It's like, oh, I'm over at Doug's house. They're hanging out with my friends. I'm not even there. I'm giving them advice. Great advice. Fantastic advice. You don't have to be the end all. As a matter of fact, you're not going to be the end all. And if you think you're the end all, you need to get over yourself. Community. Hillary Clinton isn't my favorite person, but she did say one thing that is pretty true. It takes a village to raise a kid. And I have to agree with that. You've got to have community. And if you're raising a family, a community is probably one of your greatest assets. Do most of the people around you know how to raise kids? Heck no. You need to find the old people. And when you're hanging out with your kids, you're just like, wow, you got great kids. That's the people you need to listen to. Not the ones that are their little brats running around breaking your stuff in the house. Yes, that has happened. And I still love those people. And actually, I love them dearly. And most of them, it doesn't take too long until your kids break a bunch of your stuff to figure out what you need to do about that. And unless you just like going to Target and buying more cheap crap, or Walmart, and might get the virus from something you buy, I don't know. Community, I just can't emphasize that enough. It's probably, outside of my family, it's the greatest asset that I have. And when I lost my dad on the 4th of September this year, man, the community and my family, well, that's what got me through. 100%. If I had to go that alone, I would probably still be devastated. My friends are there, and no expectations. They're just there. They show up. We can talk about stuff, or we cannot talk about stuff. They don't expect me to cry, but I can cry. That kind of community is priceless. And those friends that just send you a text and they're just like, hey, I know it's tough. Anything you need, man. Not preaching at me. Sometimes there's great words of encouragement, but they're just there with the leeway. And like my family here, they were just there. They're like, what do you need? And I'm just like, I just need you guys to be there when I need you. And that's what community does. Does community screw up? Heck yeah. Do they say stupid things? Yeah. And you just got to let it be funny, because people say the stupidest things. And side note, you want to hear some of the stupidest things. And those of you that have had kids know this, is that when your wife's pregnant, man, people say the dumbest thing. Oh, you're pregnant. Do you know what you're having? And you're just like, well, in our case, no, because, we like the surprise. And yeah, it's great to be prepared, but you're never prepared for kids anyway. So what the heck? And if you're too prepared, the baby shower is worthless. Well, I guess it's not, because everybody knows that they need to get your boy or girl clothes, or gender neutral clothes. I don't know. And some of you are having its out there. So whoops. Not supposed to say that. Anyway, yeah, community is so important, and it will have a huge impact on your kids, and it is the gift that keeps giving. But like the stupid things. Oh, you're pregnant. Oh, I knew a person that got pregnant and their baby was born with 3 arms and 1 eye, and they think they're like being funny, and you're just like, as you're pregnant, that is a worry that's in the back of your mind, that your kid is like going to come out just fine. And now in the days of ultrasound, you know, that's not so much of a surprise. But man, people say the darndest things, and you know, I just smile and say, you know what, we're going to be just fine. And there is this technique, and I'll probably leave you with this as I'm finishing up my cigar, and we're going on an hour here. You know, I'm not going to have to talk for like a whole week. I've used so many words up here, and I don't know what my wife's going to do. I'm not going to have anything to say.
Sure, you'll find something to talk about.
Yeah, she's like, the days when you were an introvert, those were kind of nice. Anyway, the technique is you deflect. You don't have to necessarily tell them wrong. You're just like, you know, it's going to be different for us. And you may have to deflect quite a bit. But there is a truth. Words have power. And you got to stop agreeing with all the negative crap that's being said at you. And the things that you're agreeing with, just ha 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 ha. You know, no. Because you are smart. And you have the ability to raise great kids. And so don't agree with anyone about the future of the kids except for you. And you know the future you want for your kids, because if you had kids, you love them desperately, and you weep and mourn over your own shortcomings, and you want to change. And that is proof that you love the kids, your kids. And so you have what it takes. Is it going to be work? Heck yeah, it's a lot of work. There's no way around that. But every day you can look at them and you're just like, wow, it's worth it. You can do the hard things. So my friends, hey, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you on the other side.